Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. This is episode number 106. You know what time it is? Clara's back on the couch. It is time to talk about everything that we watched in the month of February. Without further ado, let's get straight in there. So February on a whole, pretty solid month.
Yeah, we watched a lot.
We actually, I'd say a lot in terms of like sort of frequency wise, more or less an average month. But I think the types of films we were watching were some sort of pretty huge hitters, I want to say. None more huge than the first film that we watched, which, I mean, literally it really doesn't get bigger than this, which was The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King in cinemas, 25th anniversary of the trilogy. Of course, we ended off January with Fellowship and Two Towers, and now, of course, we've come back for the home run, The Return of the King. Your first time seeing it in the cinemas.
Yes.
Take it away.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was so good. I don't think I can add much to what has already been said about The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, other than it is just a complete masterpiece and wraps up that trilogy in the best possible way. The Fellowship of the Ring was my favourite, and I think it still is, from a sort of I just love the beginning of movies way. But I don't think that like there's nothing in it, like absolutely nothing. They're both brilliant. There's
nothing in it.
Like it's just like because I like the beginning of movies. I prefer it's personal preference. It's not like it's just like unbelievable. Are you acting like I'm saying something crazy?
You just like there was nothing in it. I got confused. I was like, what do you mean?
Well, I'm comparing two things.
Yeah.
And I'm saying there's nothing in it. There's no difference.
Oh, there's nothing in the difference of the films. I thought because you were saying I like Fellowship. There's nothing in it. That's literally what you said. I was like, what? What are you talking about? But no, I mean, kind of similar here. Don't know what more to add to the Return of the King or the Lord of the Rings conversation other than this could be the greatest thing ever created. I mean, I'd seen these films in the cinema when they sort of got re-released after COVID. But for some reason, going back this time to experience it again was really special. We sort of sat there for 4.5 hours in just complete awe of everything that was happening on screen. I mean, I think this has the most epic moment in cinema ever, with the Battle of Pelennor Fields when Rohan pull up to Gondor and the city's on fire and you hear the banging of the orcs' drums and the Rohan soldiers the Rohirrim's sort of somewhat terrified as they should be, and then Theoden basically gives the greatest speech to ever have been said in a film ever. And Bernard Hill's performance in that is just gets me every time. Multiple moments throughout this film that make me just bawl my eyes out. But I've always said to you, Clara, that you know films. I mean, you know, here and there you do get emotional. Films tend to make me cry if they're really, really sad. But the moments that are are sort of made of from just pure sheer aura and epicness. Those are the moments that actually really get me teary. And you know, Theoden's speech, sort of final last stand of Rohan, that does it for me all the time. And experiencing that once again on the big screen, it was just an absolute, just sort of overwhelming feat, I guess. And then of course you follow it up later with Aragorn's speech at the Black Gate. Amazing stuff going on in Return of the King. Don't really know what more that I can add, but yeah, it could be the greatest thing ever created, in my opinion. Speaking of some of the greatest things ever put to film, the next day, it is literally one favorite after another for me, because we went to see Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight at the BFI IMAX in 70 millimeters. And oh my goodness, what a treat this was. My first time seeing this on 70mm IMAX. I don't think that there is no superior way to see this now. I've completed it. I've completed film. I've always held the opinion that the BFI to me has never quite felt as humongous as the IMAX at Leicester Square. Even though technically speaking, the BFI IMAX is the largest screen in the UK, I've always somewhat found that the IMAX at Leicester Square feels more grand, I think. But
I always feel like the BFI feels more grand, partly maybe just because of its like BFI-ness.
The prestige of it.
It's not just like, in a Cineworld randomly in Leicester Square. It's like the BFI IMAX.
I've always just felt like the screen at Leicester Square has just given me more of a kind of wow, huge sort of, maybe it's just to do with the amount of films or the types of films I've been seeing. I mean, I've seen films like Dune and whatnot in those films. But like, after seeing the Dark Knight at the BFI IMAX in 70mm, I think I've now put that to rest. I do think like finally I've had a film now that's truly been worthy of that sort of that scale. Because not all this film. I mean, this was the first film to ever be shot in IMAX. Firstly speaking, but not all of the film is shot with IMAX cameras. You feel those aspect ratios change. Nolan uses them particularly for the sort of action set pieces, the sequences, but. The opening shot as the sort of camera moves in sort of into the building, and you hear the gunshot on the window explode, followed by Heath Ledger's Joker. There's a silhouette of him standing on the curb as he's getting ready to get picked up by the van to go rob the bank. That silhouette still, I was like, it was like the most humongous silhouette of a human I'd ever seen in my life. That was the moment. Like, it was like a couple seconds into the film, and I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll shut up now. This is the ultimate experience. But my goodness, The Dark Knight.
It's another one of those where you're like, literally everything's been said about this film.
Yeah, it's another one.
Like, there's that, like, yes. The Heath Ledger's performance, yes. The music, yes, this, that, and you're like, but what can I add?
What I will say is, I do think this, for me, I don't think there's another film that feels and moves quite with the momentum that The Dark Knight does in every, like, it's one of those films that you truly look at and you're like, I don't know what the best scene is. Okay. Yeah. Like, every scene is continuously, of the highest quality, whether it's an interrogation scene happening between Batman and Joker, or chase sequence happening moments before, or if it's a transformation from sort of a hero into a villain, or if it's another incredible monologue, or if it's these huge sort of cityscape shots, like creating the world, or if it's just Heath Ledger's performance, like, you really don't know, or if it's the ending. Like, there's so many incredible things, and I personally just do think The Dark Knight is Nolan's best film. I do think Nolan, in a way, like, has sort of become two filmmakers. There's like the Nolan that used to be this kind of the person who really came onto the scene and just dominated the box office with films like The Dark Knight and Inception. And then you have the Nolan now, who's doing much more mature work, I feel like, with films like Oppenheimer. I mean, Tenet is like the more, he's kind of having fun with that. But Oppenheimer, and now as we get to the Odyssey as well.
And like Dunkirk.
And, these kind of films. He's matured much more as a filmmaker. I think he was having a lot more fun back then. It seems his films felt much more fun, and I think The Dark Knight is that
the peak of that.
The peak of that, exactly.
Yeah,
so
what I will say about two things about The Dark Knight. One is that it's fantastic how much of a catharsis you get at the end, even though the Joker, you never really get the fall of the Joker. Like
the fall of the Joker.
Yeah, like thinking back, like, yes, he catches him, yes, he's hanging off the building, like, he's sort of got there.
And that's the end of the Joker.
But that's the end of the Joker, but it doesn't, like, in great villain deaths or comeuppances, like, you never really get that, and yet you never feel like the film's lacked in the ending. Like, he doesn't need to do the Joker fell to his death or whatever, like, in order for you to feel that catharsis at the end of the
100%.
film.
Because
it's really not about him, but...
Yeah. It's like, because in that moment, he's won. The Joker wins in the end, or on paper he wins, but then of course they make that Batman and Gordon make that decision at the end, or Bruce does, to make that decision to take the fall, in order for the Joker, to not win. And then Dark Knight Rises, Bane brings that up again, and the whole corruption behind that.
But like, we don't need.
But yes, I get your point. Like, for a villain as sort of as significant as the Joker, there really is no end, isn't there?
No, exactly.
But yeah, maybe.
But you don't feel it. Like, Nolan does it in such a way where everything, like, what I'm saying is, he doesn't need to stick to the bait blockbuster superhero script. He doesn't need to do that, and you still feel all the same things coming out of that film. Yeah. And I think that's so clever. But the other thing I was going to say is, this is the first time I've watched it, and I've like agreed so heavily with the Joker.
Yeah, we got into an argument about the politics of the film afterwards, as we usually would do. But no, just going back to your whole the ending of the Joker thing. I think the final shot of the Joker you see in the film is Heath Ledger hanging upside down, laughing. Which I mean, like, in terms of like images and sounds burned into my mind.
Yeah, facts.
There's few that come close to that.
Yeah.
But do you know about, like, I'm not sure how much sort of mythos and sort of discourse you've read about the Dark Knight online and whatnot. Because, I mean, the Joker, of course, you can't really kill the Joker. I mean, there's been various iterations in comics where the Joker has been killed by, you know, certain individuals, or, you know, in one instance in The Dark Knight Returns, Batman actually kills the Joker in the end. He breaks that no killing rule. He's had enough. This is a sort of retired veteran Batman who comes out of retirement, kills the Joker. There's been a few iterations where the Joker has indeed died. But of course, the Joker is that kind of other side of the coin to Bruce, isn't it? Like, one cannot live without the other.
I'm not saying he has to kill him. Like, quite a lot at the end of superhero films, they don't actually murder the villain because they're the good guys.
No, I'm not saying you thought that. I'm just saying, just saying in general that if he was to meet an end, or if he was to die, I don't feel like that would be the right choice. And I feel like...
No, sure, but like,
I'm not saying you're saying that.
No, I know. But like, with something like, obviously Loki doesn't die at the end of Avengers, but you still feel like the Avengers have won.
Yeah.
Like, you still get that, like, whereas in The Dark Knight, you really don't feel like Batman's won. And yet you still come out of it feeling like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, this.
Yeah. This is the thing. That's why I think The Dark Knight is just leagues above others in the genre, is because of that moral sort of complexity of, it's not a straight, yes, Batman's won or Batman's lost. Or, there is so many different emotions going on. And I think intellectually speaking, it is... You know, it's more than, you know, a lot of other superhero films. And I do think that that's not surprising to me when you take a character in a world like Batman and Gotham City. So anyone who says the Batman's better than Dark Knight, fine. It's not. Sorry, it's not. Just to put that to bed. Yeah. But speaking of Batman, the next week, myself, you, Panwa, and Chris, we went to see Batman, 1989, Tim Burton's Batman, in live in concert. This was your first time watching Batman. Yeah. You kind of didn't know what to expect, right?
I had absolutely no idea what to expect.
And what was your thoughts on this iteration?
So we watched it live in concert, and it was like, the experience of doing that is always amazing. Yeah. Like, it was how I watched the Batman for the first time.
Same venue, yeah.
Yeah, same venue. We've seen like La La Land and Jurassic Park and things like that live in concert. And it is, like, every time it is amazing having it. It makes you appreciate the score of a film to another level, just having it live, and it makes it so much more emotional. So that I thought was amazing. Did not love the film.
You didn't love the film?
No.
Oh, no, why not?
Like, it was fine. It was goofy. It was like I know it was a bit more camp and whatnot, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it was, I feel like maybe it was just a bit too outdated. Like, I just couldn't really...
you felt like it was outdated?
...get on board with it enough. And sure. I didn't really like anyone. And I didn't root for anyone. And I was just like... And there were some moments of, like, the Joker doing his unhinged stuff that I was just like... Like, it was just too... Yeah. Which I know was the point, but, like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still like this one. I still have a lot of fun with Batman. I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's a pretty solid film. I think it's Batman in a time of place in pop culture where that was what Batman was perceived to be like. Yeah. Where they started. If you think that's like super unserious, you should see what came before.
It's not the unseriousness I didn't like so much as the like. It just felt like a film of the past in its stereotypes and it's this and that, and like it was just like. You know, the whole like sexual undertones I found really like...
Okay, interesting.
Do you know, like I just couldn't get on board with the characters properly.
Yeah. I mean, I have a fun time with I guess it doesn't help because we saw the previous one we saw before this was The Dark Knight. Yeah. But
I also think it would be completely different if this was a film from my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like if you watch it without those sort of preconceptions of, you know, society or more like...
Yeah.
Seeing where these things are coming from, I feel like I would have genuinely enjoyed this as a kid.
Yeah. How do you feel like? What do you think about Jack Nicholson as the Joker?
Yeah, again, like I'm not like he's good, and I get like again he's doing obviously a completely different thing. Like it is way more unserious and way more like. Yeah, I don't know. I just found him kind of like he's the kind of person that you just want to punch. Like he's just like creepy and like kind of pathetic, and you're just like.
Sure.
Ew. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. One thing I will say about Batman, Tim Burton's sort of vision for Batman that I really love is actually just how he like depicts Gotham City. I feel like it's so like the production design when you look at it is truly incredible. It is very much from that kind of golden era of Hollywood, I guess, and mixing that Batman mythology into that. It is very camp. It is very over the top. But that, you know, when I look at it from the first sort of shot you see of Gotham City, which I believe is like miniatures, is just incredible. And like the opening sort of credits where the camera is sort of sweeping through the Batman logo, and then sort of it sort of pans out and it's revealed that it's a Batman logo. I think things like that are so fun and so cool.
Yeah, I agree. I do really like the aesthetic of Gotham. I feel like I haven't. Like a lot of the times Gotham has been like, you've told me before and I'm going to get this wrong, but like how like, you know, Gotham in The Dark Knight was based on...
Gotham in Dark Knight is basically Chicago. And Gotham in Dark Knight Rises is basically New York.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and all of these things. And even like Gotham in the Batman, like I feel like it is a place, although it's much more darker and much more like a fairy tale, it still feels like a place I could go. Like it feels like a place. Whereas the Gotham in this one felt more like a fairy tale, and I kind of enjoyed that. Like it felt more like...
Interesting. I think the Dark Knight trilogy goes for that realism, right? It doesn't really do much in terms of the aesthetic of Gotham. It sort of, and that's what Nolan decided to do. He wanted to feel more sort of in line with our world today. Works perfectly for the story. Whereas if you're taking the Batman character from the comics and you really look at what Gotham City represents in the comics, I would say there is a version of it that we still haven't truly seen on film, like a more sort of comic book accurate. I think the most comic book accurate version of this is the Arkham games. But I think Matt Reeves, what he did with the Batman, I think is the best iteration of Gotham City, taking a more modern approach, but still really infusing it with the color and the grunginess and the rain and that kind of sort of nightmarish sort of style.
I completely agree with you, and I think maybe it's just because in my mind it gets quite like taken up with other films like Seven that are like based in real places that like I feel like, and I'm not against that that's a great representation of Gotham. I just did enjoy seeing it more like fantasy
fairy tale way. I do think like I said, I love the aesthetic of Batman, Tim Burton's Batman. I think and I think he even pushes it even further in Batman Returns, the next one. But there's something about I really love, and I also think that in terms of the Joker, Jack Nicholson's Joker, I do feel like this version of the Joker definitely gets that more playfulness of the character from the comics much like the strongest. I feel like, I mean, I think Heath Ledger is the greatest Joker ever, but I think it's very much for Nolan's vision, whereas I think Jack Nicholson really takes that kind of funfair playfulness that the Joker, like this sort of trickster element, and really puts that into his performance.
He's like the scary clown, like he's
exactly
like, thing.
Absolutely. So that was Batman. And then on the 13th, this was one day before Valentine's Day, we were sort of at home and sort of figuring out, we need to watch some sort of romantic film. What do we go for? And we went for 2019's Woody Allen's A Rainy Day in New York.
Oh my God. I love it when you go through, because sometimes like you surprise me with what films, because I don't remember quite as well. I know I've watched them and I remember watching them, but when you said that, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we did watch that this month.
This was interesting.
Okay.
Not a great film.
No, not a great film. I think the problem with this one is the script or the way it was shot was very almost like a play. Like it felt very static, even though they were moving all the time.
Yeah. And
it felt very like everything they were saying was a bit over-explained.
Yeah. And the characters were basically telling you how they feel.
All the time. And yeah, it just wasn't amazing. But I did think there were some good things about it. I thought, and I've lost her name.
Elle Fanning,
thank you. I thought Elle Fanning was really good, partly because I think she took it on board.
Well, she understood it.
The fact that it was a bit of a farce, like these all felt like almost little sketches. Whereas I feel like some of the other characters, obviously great actors, like Timothée Chalamet, were playing it very straight. And I really don't think that worked for this film. Yeah. Whereas she really took it on board herself to go, like, just go a little bit, like, dial it up a notch, and so I found her character genuinely funny, and I would laugh out loud at something she did, and that was the part of the film I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think Elle Fanning as an actor, her style of acting is very much suited to something kind of up in the air like this script. I actually think that she seems to understand the project and the tone of the project better than not just the actors, but clearly the director Woody Allen and even cinematographer Vittorio Storaro, who is one of the great cinematographers of all time, yet somehow his sort of approach here is completely rendered just does not work.
No, you noticed the camera and for being in the wrong place a lot of the time. I felt
I think a lot of the what it feels like is the actors and they've rehearsed these multiple times and then they've got lots of takes and they've somehow used sort of a take that they maybe feels quirky or a bit out there, and sort of having these kind of moments where it's supposed to feel slightly off-kiltered, but as an experience from a viewer, it doesn't have that. It's not all synchronized properly for me.
Yeah.
Like this is very tonally uneven. I do say what I will say is the film does get actually better in the last sort of 20 minutes or so, where these situations present itself and they are genuinely hilarious.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez is in the film, and I thought, so I haven't seen the film before, but I thought she was going to be much more in it. She's not. She's literally in it for like 2-3 scenes, and I think she's definitely very much been used as like kind of the marketing ploy here to pull viewers in. But yeah, I think it's a good watch if you want to sort of see how much Chalamet's evolved as an actor. That's what I will say.
But also I think there was another part of it that was slightly insufferable, which I don't know if you felt, that like you were telling these stories of these, and I think, again, Elle Fanning made fun of those people. She made fun of that, like...
Live Schreiber, the director.
Sorry?
The director that she was trying to impress.
Oh. No. I just meant she made fun of her character. Like, she was like, her character was this, like, ultra-privileged, daughter of a banker. And she was constantly making fun of that character in her performance. And I feel like the actors that didn't, their characters just came off as unbelievably insufferable, and that you just couldn't relate to it, and it was just so annoying. Whereas I felt like she was like almost poking fun of that, and like that again. I know I keep coming back to her performance, but I think part of the film's annoyance was that it was like very insufferable. Agreed.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we kicked off the Valentine's Day weekend. And then on Valentine's Day itself, we went to see Wuthering Heights. Now, I've already reviewed the film with Alex and Amy here on the channel. If you've seen the review or listened to it, you would have known that I wasn't a big fan of it. More on the bad side than kind of mixed, but like there was some good elements, but on a whole didn't love the film. I don't actually know anymore.
I went into it basically because I'd seen a lot of shit online about this film, and I went into it thinking it was basically going to be like Megalopolis, that it was going to be unwatchable.
Okay.
And like I was very prepared for that because people were saying that this is just awful, and I went in and I was like, you know what, if you turn your brain off and expect a sort of fucked version of Bridgerton, it was watchable. Aesthetically pleasing, crazy costumes, good chemistry. Yeah. If you want a deep and good film, this wasn't it. Like
the fact that you've had to start your thoughts off by if you want a fucking fucked up version of Bridgerton.
Yeah, thanks.
It's not gonna go well.
So like I think I also I'm not like, and I will criticize this film in a sec. I'm not by any means saying this is a good film, but I think
just say how you feel. Like, I don't necessarily want you to criticize it.
I have a propensity for I know it's trash. I will, when a new season of Bridgerton comes out, like mainline that into my eyeballs straight away. Like it is just like a guilty pleasure of mine. So I did enjoy the sort of period romance of this film because I do just enjoy that. Like, but I think the nuance and the interesting things about Wuthering Heights, Emerald Fennell didn't get. And I know she said she was making a Wuthering Heights, but she could have made any period drama about some sort of fucked up relationship. She didn't need to compare it to a book which is actually very deep and is about things like class and race and sexism and the like abuse that can happen in a marriage. And she just like threw that all away to have some sort of like vaguely kinky love story. And so that was slightly frustrating. Well, very frustrating.
Can I say, this is not directed at you, but I'm a bit like tired of hearing people on the internet say this is like, I was expecting like it to be trash, and I was expecting this from the trailers, and I wasn't expecting it to be like this deep thing. I'm kind of tired of hearing this excuse, because I just think this is such a dismissive way of kind of just cushioning the fact that the film isn't very good. And I do feel like when you have talent like this involved in a project, when you have a cinematographer like Linus Sandgren, when you have an actress like Margot Robbie in the lead, when you have an actor like Jacob Elordi also in the lead, and you have these amazing people involved who have also come off the back of doing very interesting and nuanced work. So especially Jacob Elordi, I feel like if he's reading a script, he seems like a very kind of genuine actor. He's looking for interesting things, and I do feel like, to a certain extent, and I'm just assuming and sort of gathering that there is an element of they were sold the idea of a project that was much deeper than I think this clearly was. And I think that you take, basically what you're doing is you have the privilege of making a film with this budget, with this talent, and what you actually want to do, or what you end up doing, is the most surface level, flatline, just pile of arse. And when I say pile of arse, I don't actually truly mean that it's the worst thing I have ever seen, but in terms of the grand scheme of films that have this kind of backing, I almost feel like it's even more of a crime to do something like this, because it's like you're almost even depriving someone who has a truly original idea, or who actually wants to make something better, or has an idea for something better, and you're basically completely misusing something that has a property, a story that has already been established, and using that to basically sell your film. I think it is almost like one of the biggest forms of manipulation in Hollywood, I think. I
agree with you about the source material. Like, I think she shouldn't have even gone there with Wuthering Heights. She should have made the kinky period piece she wanted to make.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with that. I think in terms of the budget and whatnot, like, Hollywood throws so much at, like, big films with big stars in action films that are not very deep, that people just enjoy watching. So I'm not against her making a film that isn't deep, that's just a piece of entertainment that looks good.
My problem here is more so that when you watch a film like that has a budget, that has interesting talent, but genuinely has a sort of aura about it, that it's trying to achieve these things, or its heart is in the in a good place, or the intent behind it is to try and make an audience member walk away with, a certain thing. Here, I think it is so disingenuous. I think it is.
Do you think she intended anyone to walk away from that, other than going like, what I think she failed at doing, which was her intention, is making something very kinky and very like...
Exactly.
I think that's what she failed at doing.
Which is why it's doubly miserable.
I don't think she intended at all for it to be like interestingly nuanced about like...
I completely disagree. I completely disagree. As much as I'm not a fan of...
She never like said that in any way. She was like,
because of course she said that.
Daydream about Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, basically. Of course she said that, because she knows that the initial reactions haven't been good. So obviously in press, they have to completely shift the way they talk about a film.
Even before, she was just saying that this is like my like sexy dream for Wuthering Heights. Basically, it's not like meant to be Wuthering Heights.
What do you mean? What? It's not meant to be Wuthering Heights?
Yeah.
What? The fact that it's like every adaptation is not a true adaptation type of thing.
But I personally don't feel like I think what she missold was how like fucked up it was going to be. I don't think what she missold was the fact that it was going to be some like deep and nuanced piece in any way.
I'm not saying that Emerald Fennell has to come out and be like, oh yeah, we're really aiming to achieve X, Y, and Z with Wuthering Heights, and I'm sure I want like da 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 da. She's obviously clear, like it's Emerald Fennell, like she's obviously going to put her own unique spin on it. We all know that, but like my point is, there is so much nuance and depth in that story, in those characters, and what I think is like she's done a complete disservice to. She's come out herself and said the first trailer for this film says that this is the greatest love story of all time. It literally in bold, huge text, the greatest love story of all time. Right? How the fuck are you going to take the greatest love story of all time and render it to be some fucking Pinterest bullshit? But
I think Wuthering Heights is the worst love story of all time. Like, it is two people being genuinely horrible each other for their entire lives. And the fact that she's gone the greatest love story of all time, you're like, what's she done with Wuthering Heights? Like, what's going on? Is it going to be this, like, fall in love, fall into each other's arms romance? Like, what's happened here? And so I feel like that in and of itself was a bit of a, like, I already know this isn't going to be what Wuthering Heights is.
Yeah, I mean,
do you get what I'm saying? Like,
I agree completely in the sense that it shouldn't be Wuthering Heights. It should be if she wants to do a kinky fucking love story that's set in the Yorkshire moors, then fucking do that. Don't come at it and use the story, use Emily Bronte's story to sell and sell a film and basically alienate a complete generation of readers or even people who are remotely interested in the material and the actual substance there, and then just basically turn it into some kinky freak fest. Like, it's just and it's not even a kinky freak fest. She failed on that account as well.
No,
sorry guys,
and I think that like
the more I think about this, the more I've done, because I've genuinely I've had so many conversations this week at work saying like, and I don't want people to not like it. I want people to enjoy every film they go and see. And if I don't like a film, then maybe it's my bad and I didn't love the film. I want you to genuinely go and to have a good time with it. But like, I've had so many complaints to me this week saying like, oh yeah, like, well, it's just it's a film for women. I'm like, well, but that's a shit excuse. But
I think that's what I meant before of like, again, I don't think it's a good film. I'm not like prefacing this, and I'm going to complain about it more in a second. But I think there is something about like this like new brand of like you know how like a lot of action films you'd go, that's a shit film, but it's like a film for guys. Like they'll go watch it, they'll see some cars blow up and they'll have a laugh. Like for me, I feel like that's what Wuthering Heights is becoming. It's like women going, oh yeah, I kind of want to watch people fall in love in like nice costumes.
But basically you're saying that in a taste kind of way that guys more.
I'm not, and I think that's a very big stereotype. Like I'm not saying
right, exactly. Like but that's what you're basically saying is that more guys will go see action films and more women will go see romance films, etc. Yeah. But when you have people who go to see both, it is completely like just an invalid criticism. It's not.
I'm not saying. I just meant.
No, I know. I'm not. Oh, I like guys. I'm not having a go at them. No, I'm just saying.
But I mean, I do agree with you about that her stripping the nuance of the film, and I think specifically, obviously, some things about like race that she like obviously miscast Jacob Elordi was really bad. But I also think that could have been deeply weird for the version she made as well. Like that like if she cast a person of color and then never addressed it. Do you know what I mean? Like she was never going for that interesting.
But she would have though, because if you cast a person of color, that means you've definitely taken that element of the book, and therefore you have to address it in the script. There is no way. The fact of the matter is she wasn't interested.
No, she wasn't interested, and I'm agree. Like I think that she was like just from that moment, she started to strip away at what was interesting and like nuanced about the film, and also with the character of, and I've fucking forgotten her name. You know
Hong Chau's character.
No. The woman that was like that gets her dog killed.
Oh, Isabella.
Yeah, Isabella. Thank you. And like things like that, where she's just turned this into some like sort of like what is an interesting story about abuse and about like, you know, it's when Heathcliff really turns and things like that. She wanted to make Heathcliff sympathetic so badly that she had to turn it into some kinky thing rather than like actually or whatever. We can move on.
Okay. All right. Okay, up next we went to see Christopher Nolan's Inception once again in 70mm IMAX. Your first time watching this in a cinema. This was sort of part of the Nolan kind of rerun that the BFI IMAX are doing. Again, incredible film. Not your favourite Nolan film though.
No, and I don't understand why people say. I mean, I really like it. It's a great film, but like
5-star film.
I don't understand why people are always like, this one's so much better than Interstellar. Da, 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 da. It doesn't have holes.
On paper. It
doesn't have holes. It doesn't this. I think Interstellar's so much better. And not like so much, but I do think it's better. And I don't really understand that at all. I've never really understood that argument. Like people say like, oh, it's like everything comes together. It's so much more this, da, 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 da. And I just think like, I don't get that from that film.
Well, firstly, I think Inception as an idea, as an original idea is much more, I think it's much more kind of, I mean, you will definitely disagree because you're a physicist, but, oh my God, call me a physicist. But the idea itself is a much more, it's crazy that something like this hasn't really been, I mean, you have films like Paprika, but to be realized in live action, it's crazy that a concept like this has never kind of been done before because it is so original. And for a film that actually didn't come out too long ago, I think it's a groundbreaking concept that establishes rules, very clear, concrete rules, uses the idea of breaking those rules and problem solving to increase tension constantly through the script. The whole dream within a dream within a dream is just brilliant. I think all the characters have their own stakes in it, but of course you're following Leo's Dom Cobb. His story, his journey is a deeply human one, despite all the mechanics of this idea going on, and that's what ultimately grounds the film. The acting is absolutely amazing. It's an all-star cast. The score is one of Hans Zimmer's best. The production design and how they sort of create these almost Stanley Kubrick-esque rotating hallways and all the kind of visual effects is groundbreaking. And again, just experiencing at the BFI IMAX and 70mm just completely, I feel like completely absorbs you in there. The ideas are much more I feel like defined here and more realized better here than I feel like Interstellar, even though I love Interstellar, as I'm just saying, I love it. Different film. I
agree with everything you've said.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with anything you've said about Inception.
Yeah.
But the ideas being more fully realized, they're both very fully realized.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't feel like Inception's more fully realized than Interstellar. I just feel like Interstellar has way more heart. Like, I'm going to be crying in Interstellar. I'm going to fall in love with the characters. Whereas in Inception, I'm like, he misses his wife.
So I think that the first time you go to see Interstellar versus the first time you go to see Inception, I think Interstellar will give you more of that emotional catharsis for sure. I think
I've seen them both multiple times and I never get emotional catharsis.
You've seen Interstellar 100 times more than Inception. I think
fine, but I've still seen them multiple times.
Sure. I do think there is an element of Interstellar that almost changes, like you I'm not saying you're necessarily going to come to love Interstellar less than the first time you watch it, but I do think that there is an evolving relationship with Interstellar that for some people has actually taken a more negative route, whereas Inception I feel like is a film that has been solidified, and actually every time you go and watch it you are once again amazed by how those ideas work continuously. Whereas Interstellar, I do feel like you can have more of a high and low kind of response to it on different rewatches. I'm saying personally, but also like I think they're both 5-star films.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you've just said that people can have different experiences with the film. I'm sure they can.
No, but I'm saying on a rewatchability perspective, I think Inception is a more rewatchable film than Interstellar. That's personally what I think.
You think so, but why? Because I feel like I've watched Interstellar. As we know, I've watched Interstellar more times than Inception, and I think it's so rewatchable. I don't feel that it's not rewatchable, so I don't really know what you're getting.
I think, for example, and I'm not saying this necessarily applies to me, but I feel like you can poke holes in Interstellar much more than you can poke holes in Inception. I think Inception as a concept and as a format works is much more assured of itself. There's a much more confident level of storytelling going on in Inception than Interstellar. Interstellar, I think that you're dealing with these huge concepts, and I think that's partly why I feel like you can actually pick those things apart. In the story, Interstellar is more of that emotional experience. It is much more melodramatic, which is why it's turned off a lot of viewers compared to Inception, where there is an emotional journey for the character, but it is also getting from point A to point B. Everything is so well defined, and the experience is complete.
Yeah, I feel like with my rebuttal to that, and then we can move on to another film, is that in Inception, yes, you're constantly moving from point A to point B, point A to point B.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you say emotional heart. Like, I genuinely don't really feel the emotional heart in this film at all. I feel like it's a very surface level story of like, this is what he should be feeling, because yes, he should be missing his wife and kids. Like, I don't feel a relationship with them properly. And I feel like this point A to point B, I feel like there's way more holes and stuff like that. Just think little conveniences that happen, a little obstacle, a little convenience. Like, it feels like a video game that you're moving through, as opposed to like a real like in-depth adventure, which I feel like Interstellar is. And in terms of picking holes, like, people don't like some of the stuff, but I don't really feel like there's a hole that is picked. Like, it's a perfectly round.
What, in Interstellar?
Yeah.
Like I said, Interstellar works with flying colours for me. I love that film. It is one of my favourite films. Inception, I just think, has a much more... it's much more sure of itself as a film, as a complete film, than Interstellar.
What does that mean?
What I mean is, I think that the entire journey... at every single point works. At all times, the audience is aware.
So when does it not work?
In Interstellar? No, this is what literally I was about to say. I feel like the audience, because we've now been invited into this world, we now know the rules. We also know the stakes and how the stakes rise if those rules are broken. So I feel like as an audience member, you're much more your place is much more alongside the team in Inception than when you go to Interstellar and you're dealing with these huge concepts. They're just hitting you, but you don't actually have. Maybe you do because you're a physicist again, but you don't have an understanding of what these things mean at the time they're happening until afterwards when Matthew McConaughey or Anne Hathaway says, "Oh, but what if da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da." But in Inception, you know exactly the consequences of a character's actions. So for me, on a tension basis, Inception works much better. It does. It's like I said, it's like everything is so well defined. It's so much sure of itself. The premise is actually much more well defined. Whereas Interstellar is this huge sci-fi space odyssey, but at any point something can go wrong. But you're lost until a character picks you up again. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you're not there with the character at all times.
I think that makes sense, but I don't feel that from the film.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree. But there you go. On the 20th, we went to see Sam Raimi's new film Send Help, starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. A lot of fun. Really a lot of fun with this one. It took me a while to get to this one. And I'm ashamed to say that because I'm such a huge fan of Sam Raimi. But when you take a film like Castaway and you take a film like Evil Dead and you mix them together, you get Send Help. I really love the sort of corporate satire here as someone who works in a corporate environment. That was brilliant. I think Rachel McAdams, has never been the loudest actor, but I think she's one of the best actors working. Mm-hmm. She's absolutely fantastic here. And Dylan O'Brien is a hilarious supporting in a hilarious supporting role here. I think this film is bizarre, it is crazy, it is violent, it is juiced up with Sam Raimi's signature kinetic energy, and so that kind of Evil Dead flourishes are all just brilliant. I do think the film gets a bit visual effects heavy at sometimes, which kind of takes me out a little bit and takes that believability out of it a little bit. But aside from that, I had a really good time with Send Help.
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, I thought the satire was really good. The performances were funny. Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it.
Great. And then the next day we went to see Wasteman, which is a sort of a relatively new British prison drama starring David Johnson and Tom Blythe. And I absolutely adored this film. Yeah,
I thought it was really, really good. I feel like it was the first film I'd seen in a long time where I don't really have... I mean, obviously we rewatch old films, but I didn't really have any problems with it at all. I thought all the characters were fleshed out really well. I thought the performances were deeply moving. There's sort of a vague, I don't want to say twist that happens that I did not see coming at all. And that doesn't happen to me often at all either. And it makes perfect sense. And you're just so shocked by everything that unfolds, the tension that they build. And I also thought the cinematography was really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really well shot. For me, I think the film's like the opening shots are like iPhone footage. It's like real life, kind of more real life, realistic footage shot from an iPhone, and iPhone footage is sort of spliced throughout the film. And I think it was effective, but at a certain point, it kind of started to disrupt the cinematic rhythm. I feel like a little bit. It became a bit more of a hindrance for me. I feel like I could have done with a few less iPhone sort of cuts.
I quite liked it. I felt like often times it gave it a sense of realism, like this is something you could see on your phone, but also I think at times it gave it a sense of humor, like there was some like a little bit funny, and I kind of enjoyed that in a film that was so like hard-hitting and dramatic. So I actually disagree. I did quite like those.
Interesting. I think David Johnson and Tom Blythe are incredible. Two of the best actors that we from the UK have to offer, for sure. David Johnson's been amazing in basically everything. Tom Blythe, I only know from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, where I think his talents were completely rendered like flat because of the we weren't fans of the film, but like the script just did not give him that. I feel like didn't give him that that kind of step to really showcase his ability. I didn't have any like
problems with him.
No, didn't have any. But no, he was fine. He was fine.
I didn't have any problems with him.
Whereas this, he blew me away.
Yeah, facts.
He was so good in this film. Completely unrecognizable from his previous role.
And his character is both like deeply likable and deeply horrible at the same time. Like you can totally see why David Johnson would have got close to him. I couldn't remember his character's name. David Johnson would have got close to him, but at the same time, you're always going, "Oh my god, this is going to go so wrong. This is going to go so wrong." So it's like really works absolutely perfectly, and he manages to balance that like likability and dislikability really well, and I think that's really hard.
Yeah, and the relationship that those two characters have is basically the film, and you are often at points like wondering where it's going to go, and I think it's one of the best British debuts I've seen, like for sure. I think it's so good. And there was genuinely a point towards the end of the film where I thought I was going to have a panic attack. The way that the film uses tension is brilliant, and it's a real gnarly, not nice film. And of course, I mean, you would expect nothing less with a film set in prison.
Yeah,
but
definitely has heart though.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a heart to the film for sure. Later on that night, we went to see Crime 101. Crime 101, otherwise known as Avengers 5, considering this has Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry in it. A lot of people are basically calling this a B-Tech version of Heat. It is very much B-Tech version of Heat. If anything, it takes nowhere near the same interesting ideas as Heat. The interesting ideas in Heat, and instead sort of just kind of replaces it with this kind of by the barrels, just completely lifeless sort of experience.
It's very slow.
That I did not mind.
Meditative, yeah. But I didn't hate it.
I did not mind. I did not mind this film. It was weirdly soothing.
Yeah, it was a very soothing film about crime.
Crime 101. We missed the previous 100 installments of this franchise. But yeah, I mean, Chris Hemsworth, I mean, if you compare his performance in something like Furiosa to this, it's the complete opposite.
I did find Halle Berry's character quite moving as well at points.
Halle Berry's character was probably the kind of injection of energy I feel like this film was deeply in desire of.
Whereas I felt like Mark Ruffalo and
he's playing the same character. He's done way better versions of this character before.
Yeah.
He's done Zodiac. He's done even Now You See Me. He plays a cop as well.
Yeah.
Sort of this kind of washed out, rundown cop who's kind of.
Does he ever play anything else? Honestly,
brilliant actor. I don't know. You give him more interesting work, man. You can't have a film with Mark Ruffalo and just get him to play the same sort of shadow of previous roles that he's already done. But yeah, this was a weirdly soothing watch. It went on for an hour and almost 2.5 hours. It was never gripping or anything like that, but I did kind of appreciate the very kind of digital look of LA, and some of the shots were really beautiful, and the sort of teals and the color of it was nice. Aside from that, it's not really great, got much going for it.
Fine.
Yeah. And then the next day we went to see The Secret Agent, which is Brazil's sort of big film this year for the Academy Awards season, starring Wagner Moura. This, really enjoyed it. Really liked it.
Yeah, thoughts? Brilliant. Really, really brilliant. Really, I can't think of a film to compare it to.
I can.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I felt like this film felt in tone a lot similar to No Country for Old Men in some aspects. I feel like visually as well, it feels a bit more of that kind of, it has a more Western feel to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you.
This kind of Lone Ranger, but it's obviously not a story as kind of, theatrical as that.
Yeah, I
it's
think No Country for Old Men, I mean, I think a brilliant film, but way more theatrical, way more plot driven, like a lot more sort of, I feel like, I'm not saying that A Secret Agent doesn't have momentum. I just feel like there's a lot more driving No Country for Old Men. There's like a clear sort of objective, sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, I thought this was really brilliant. I thought the magical realism in this, I absolutely adored. I thought one thing that was really amazing about this film is that it's about this guy, this one guy, but his supporting characters aren't just like foils to his journey, but you really feel like you're brushing up against the lives and in the world of these other people as well. They, even in small interactions, and it's the script or the performances or the real realism of it, you really feel that you're meeting these other people and that their journeys are completely full and you're just brushing against them. And I thought there was something in the way that was done which was really brilliant. Everyone felt deeply nuanced, even if you didn't know everything about them.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what feels somewhat unique to this film, I'm sure other films have done it this kind of way, but what feels unique is and very distinctive for me is the way it goes about painting a time and a place and the kind of political tension almost exclusively through character interactions.
Yeah.
Because at first you might be watching a scene between two characters and you're kind of wondering, what is the purpose of the scene? How is the scene driving the story forward? But then looking back in hindsight on it, all of those conversations actually do that. They all sort of very much are part of this kind of tapestry that the film
is how I would almost put this film.
is kind of painting, and the film is doing. I feel like is doing a lot. Like it's following this main character, kind of going under the radar. It's flashing forwards in time to these two girls who are trying to figure out this story. It's flashing backwards to a tragic kind of backstory for the character. There's sort of a bizarre kind of sort of one-legged sort of subplot in Shark subplot that's happening. It's juggling all these kind of different things, but yet it always feels kind of assured of itself and never sort of chaotic.
Definitely. I really like the word.
It's like quietly confident. That's what I feel like it is.
And I think the word you use, tapestry, is just a beautiful way to describe it.
Yeah, very much so. Thank you. And of course, Wagner Moura is just incredible in this film. I don't think he's going to take home the best actor thing, but I think if there's someone who's going to cause an upset, it might be Wagner Moura. I think he's absolutely really fantastic. Good. Similar to, but for different reasons, Fernando Torres from last year's
I actually
Brazil.
thought she should have won.
I
Whereas with him, I'm like, if he won, that would be very deserving, but I don't think you should win to the same level that she should have won.
Someone's got,
she should have
got assaulted there. But yeah. There you go. That was A Secret Asian. A couple nights ago, we finally watched Ava Victor's directorial debut, Sorry Baby, which is a film I'd been sort of putting off for months, waiting for a kind of rainy day. We finally sat down to watch it. And I actually think, I was genuinely thinking about it a lot this week. The more I think about it, the more I like it.
It's brilliant.
It's so good.
It's so good. I so agree. I think it is a deeply, like, true and nuanced portrayal of, like, what it means to go through something like that without in any way over-explaining, being condescending. You're just watching her life flashing forwards and backs after the assault, and you really feel, who she is and the love she has for her best friend and things like that, and how she's dealing with this. And it never judges, it never tries to condescend to anyone about what she's feeling. It just really sits with her, and I think it's so beautifully shot. I thought the performances were amazing and really funny. Really funny.
It was really funny,
which sounds like we're horrible people, but genuinely it was amusing.
If you haven't seen Sorry Baby, this is kind of mild spoilers, but the film is about a woman who's gone through an incident in the past, and of course you can probably hazard as to what that incident might be, but I said this on my Letterboxd review for it, and it kind of sounds like a performative male take, but I genuinely was thinking about the film a lot after having seen it, and I do think more guys need to watch films like this to really kind of put you in the perspective of characters and of stories like this. For me, what struck me about Sorry Baby and how I think it's set apart from other films that deal with similar kind of issues is where some of those films might kind of look to focus on the horror of a situation like that much more. This film doesn't solely focus on the horror, although there is ample time given to that and that kind of moment of dread. There's a moment, the way it's shot is kind of amazing. It made my heart sink at how Ava Victor sort of steps up these sort of stationary shots and shows the passing of time, I think was just amazing. But where some films might solely focus on the incident or the horror of that incident and kind of sort of be this kind of really sort of depressing take on such situations, and of course it is, and not to say that every person's experience is the same with this, because it's not. Everyone has different experiences. But what I found, what I think really struck me is how it portrays a situation, like the confusion that happens in a situation like that for the victim, right? I think the film is about trauma, but more so for me, I feel like it's a film about not letting that trauma define you, but also recognizing that it will always be a part of you moving forward. That's what I found really, really complex, and I feel like the film is so emotionally intelligent as well. I think Ava Victor is she's now come onto the scene with this film, and she has really like caught my attention now with a project like this, and she's proven herself to be like a really, really emotionally intelligent filmmaker, and I can't wait to see what she does next. I think 100%. She kind of reminds me a little bit, for different reasons, but she kind of reminds me a little bit of Cooper Rife, who did films like Shithouse and Cha Cha Real Smooth. And I actually checked out Ava Victor before, sort of after seeing this film, and turns out she was actually in Shithouse, in Cooper Rife's film, but I don't think she played a sort of integral role there. But
that's crazy.
Small world.
No, 100%.
But yeah.
No, I was just off what you were saying. I think the way, and I think there's often a lot of controversy with how you film sexual assault in films, like how that works, how you're meant to do that, and how do you do that with ample, like, both conveying the horror of the situation and ample respect, not being like objectifying to the victim in any way. And I do think in a way, like, this has stayed with me probably the most in a sort of like awful aspect, and they never needed to show the assault. Like, it wasn't necessary for it to still have that emotional weight, for me to still feel as,
because you don't actually see it, you kind of imagine it.
It's done in a, can I say it? It's done in a beautiful way where you're watching her describe it sort of as she comes home to her friend, and she's still confused about it, she's still trying to make sense about it, and her friend is obviously trying to like be there for her. And the way that works, I just really felt like, it was so horrifying, genuinely so horrifying. And in no way did you ever feel like you were the attacker, which I feel like often when people film sexual assault, it's through the lens of the attacker because of the way you're watching the incident unfold. And I just thought that was done in a really brilliant way. Well said. And then last night, before, as of when we're shooting this episode, we watched The Voice of Hind Rajab. I am kind of lost for words a little bit here, as I was when we saw this last night. For those of you who don't know, the film is about the genocide taking place in Gaza, and it follows some volunteers who work for Red Crescent, which are an organization which helps with the aid of Palestinian citizens in Gaza, trying to get them medical attention and get them evacuated out of the area. And the whole film is taken from the perspective of these volunteers as they receive an emergency call from a 5-year-old girl. It says 5, but 6-year-old girl who's trapped in a car and is sort of under fire. She's being pressed by IDF soldiers, and she's on the phone pleading for rescue. And the entire film is taken place from these from the perspective of these Red Crescent volunteers, and it is based on real life events. It's not just based on real
not
life
just
events.
that.
Yeah, go on.
And it's taken real life recordings from the event and has put it in the film. It uses the real life recordings in the film as a storytelling device.
Was a young girl. And this all happened to her, and she did call rescue, and it's all her voice and all her discussions with rescue. And they have dramatized parts of it, what happened in the Red Crescent and in that rescue, and the sort of relationships between the co-workers are dramatized. But her voice and every word that they say to her is all real. I was just going to ask, did you know what happened to her before?
I didn't know. I think I did know, but then I think I forgot at the start of the film.
Okay,
I don't really know. I really don't know what to, I think it's a film.
I think everyone needs to watch.
Go and watch. Exactly.
I think everyone needs to watch this film. I think, aside from being genuinely a good film,
it's a great film.
And with like the performance of Rana, like I thought was devastating. That actress is amazing. Performances were amazing. It is genuinely a good film, but also just genuinely something everyone needs to see. Because like, you know, like her voice is important, and people need to like.
I think if you. Again, like you say, like it's a film that absolutely everyone needs to see. I will be talking about this with everyone that I meet, and the fact that this is all happening in real life, and the film gives a real time kind of experience with it as well. As you sit with this horrible situation, and the fact that you or the people you're following can't seem to do anything about it. You know, despite maximum efforts in this situation, you sort of, I think that what the film does really well is actually paint the picture of how complicated logistically it is also to get these things done from the Red Crescent volunteers' perspective as well. They sort of talk you through the logistics of it
and how they're constantly conflicted and infighting, but really they're so powerless into what happens.
Exactly.
And they all want to go about things in slightly different ways, but ultimately it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because ultimately they're not the ones with the power.
Yeah.
And I think that also was really like, because you were, when you watch the co-workers fight, you're like, you should do this or you should do that, or this is how it should be done. But at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
So yeah, that was the voice of Hind Rajab. Please go and watch the film. It's important that you do. But yeah, that was the last thing that we watched in the month of February. Thank you, Clara, for joining me on this episode once again. We'll be back at the end of March talking about everything that we watched in March. Big month for movies, Project Hail Mary, The Bride, some exciting stuff. So we'll see you then. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you very soon in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.